well, what's my ROI on social media? How long do I have to do it? How many videos do I have to make? What's it going to cost me? And here's the truth. Welcome into the Dynamis podcast this week, guys. We have a really, really fun episode. And whether you think that this applies to you or not, it does. I'm going to give you a quick summary of what we're going to talk about today. We're going to veer from the normal real estate strategy of investing, and we're going to focus on marketing. And whether you want to believe it or not, whether you're an agent, a lender, whether you're an investor and you're trying to build your business and get more deals and generate a name for yourself, you cannot do it without branding, and you cannot brand in today's modern market without using video and social media. And I found an expert in that space. His name is Ben Cryer. He's known as the video strategist. He has an incredible company. And I'll tell you all about how I found Ben, how we started having these conversations, and ultimately how I got him to drive hours to come sit in my podcast studio. Ben, welcome to the Dynamis studio.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
Ben, can you give us a little bit of an introduction? Who are you? What do you do? How did you get here?
Yeah, so I'm Ben Cryer. I'm a real estate video marketing strategist. So work 100% with real estate agents and other related industries like mortgage loan officers, stagers, anything related to real estate. And really what I do is I help them figure out what their brand is, who they are marketing to, who they exist for, really. So we kind of go in, we do some brand strategy with them. I also help put together a video strategy. So how are we going to market this stuff and who is it for so that we can tailor it for that? And we take, agents all the way from zero brand, zero consistency, zero idea what they're doing. They just know they want to be a real estate agent, all the way through to people with successful businesses looking to get into paid ad space or whatever it may be. So a little background on me. I originally am from Oregon. So I love the Pacific Northwest. Absolutely love it here. My wife and I actually came to Washington 5 to 6 years ago, I would say, and I've loved it. So we're actually in Wenatchee right now. Got into film when I was 13 years old. So this has been a passion of mine for a long, long time. I was just, making silly videos with my friends, just kind of learning the space and getting to understand what video was and how to utilize it and how to tell a story. And then I got my first paid gig when I was 14 years old. I was filming my aunt's wedding. Filmed that, and then another family member, actually my uncle, was getting married the next year and said, would you film my wedding too? I was like, this is sweet. I can actually make money doing this thing that I love. And so I filmed his wedding, charged him $50 as well, but they ended up paying me $1,000 for it. And as a 14-year-old getting that check, I was blown away. Could not believe my eyes. He said, we loved the video. You have talent. You're passionate about this, and we want you to invest in yourself. So buy a computer, buy some editing software, and invest in this dream. And so that's what I ended up doing. And it's been a long journey from there to where I am now. My business has shifted. It's gone from a hobby to an actual business, and I absolutely love what I do.
What did the progression look like from wedding to where you are now? Because your business right now is really targeted towards the real estate industry.
It's kind of funny. I tell people that real estate chose me. So I knew that I loved video. I also love problem solving. As a kid, I would take things apart just to see how they went together, and then I'd see if I could put them back together again. I love seeing how things work, breaking down processes, problem solving. I did a lot of events, weddings and events and things, and I enjoyed the film process, but I didn't feel like I was solving problems. And so I saw within business, being an entrepreneur myself, I saw that there were all these problems in business that needed to be solved and that video could solve a lot of them. And so that's where I started targeting my efforts just towards business in general. And then from there, I just started working with a lot of real estate agents. A lot of them were contacting me. I had a lot of real estate friends. And so I just kind of got into that space and found that I was good at helping real estate agents.
Did it start as doing content, or was it like, you're filming listings? How did it start?
Yeah, so it started much more on the listing side, where I was doing video. And then I have a background in photography as well, so I do both. And a lot of the agents didn't know that. So I was doing a lot of videos, and then I started just telling them, we do video as well. And so we ended up doing a lot more photo content for them as well. And then through that, I can't say there was a single point where I just said, we're going to start helping with strategy. It just kind of started happening in conversation as I saw people with needs, needing their business to be seen and understood and connect with their audience. And so we just started solving those problems and kind of, brainstorming what would help and going from there.
What year did you start really, really targeting realtors for doing short form video content and branding?
Early 2022.
And this is an important time because This is where like the leading social media platform, Instagram, really transitioned from stills into more dynamic video, right? Short form, real content. And there was like crazy organic growth during that time. They would incentivize like, hey, if you post a reel, they would spread it. Your first reel could go 10,000 views because they wanted the dopamine dump of like, oh, I want to create more reels. And the reason that they started creating, such incentives for these reels is because TikTok had come on and was taking a lot of market share. And so they wanted to catch up. They wanted to gain some ground. And it's during this time that if you stop and think right now when you're scrolling social media, most of the content that you consume is talking head videos with captions, with like lighting, targeted branding. But if we back up just like a year and a half ago, to start in that space at that time, you were a pioneer. And if you could get in early enough, you could really have some incredible, crazy,
huge
growth.
That's exactly right. It was kind of TikTok that was scaring Meta now, right?
Yeah.
Instagram, Facebook, and they're like, how do we compete with this? And it is true. I'll open up my Instagram now and you start scrolling and it's just one talking head video after the next.
Yeah.
And, a lot of people are afraid that because of that, it's too late to get into the space. It's too late to jump on that train. But it's really not. It's not too late because that's just the way marketing is going. It's video content and we've got short attention spans.
Totally.
And so short form, you can give them a little bit of information in a short amount of time that's easy to consume, easy to understand. So it's definitely not too late to get in, but the space is saturated and it's, there's a lot of competition. So you've got to find ways to stand out still.
I want to put a pin in that because I think that's a really, really great talking point that I want to come back to in this podcast. But you and I were both entrepreneurial. Okay. Yeah. We both are business owners. We're both driven. And I think you could agree we're both hungry and we do things that are a little bit outside the box. And why we experience success, you and I, is we're willing to do the heavy thing that other people don't want to do. So one night I'm sitting around scrolling social media and I received a targeted ad from you. And it was so well done that I clicked on it. And keep in mind, I do a lot of social media branding. I'm putting out 4 to 5 reels a week and they're branded, they have professional editing, it's holistic, whether it's focused on my meetup, the podcast, information for buyers, because I'm a loan officer, so I want mortgage business, or I want to tell people about real estate investments. I'm putting out a lot of content. So I get harassed every week from video content creators who are like, hey, let me make videos for you. So for me, I just by default put those things right in the trash. But your ad was so good that even as I'm inundated with all of this noise, I clicked on it. And I knew what it was before I clicked on it, but I clicked on it out of curiosity because I was like, wow, this guy is so polished. His ad is so targeted. It connected with me so immediately. I want to know more about this individual. And when I clicked on your ad, the landing page, the click funnels, the follow-up, the scheduling, the personalized text message of, hey, thanks for reaching out. I noticed that you had some interest. How can I assist you? All of it. I was so curious that I booked a call with you. I didn't know I was going to get you. I thought I was going to get some virtual assistant or something. I wanted to go through your funnel because I was taking it apart. Yeah. You were talking earlier, like you're interested in something, you want to take it apart. Same thing. I'm like, wow, this is really effective. Maybe I can replicate what you're doing in your landing page and click funnels. And what ended up happening is, I think 10 minutes into the call, you're like, you figured out like, oh, I'm totally just digging for what you're doing. And then that ended up sparking a conversation about business owners. And of course, we both have hearts for Jesus. And then we developed a friendship. But I want to point that out because, I'm inundated with ads all the time for what I specifically do. And yours stuck out so well that I clicked on it, even knowing where it was leading me. And I think that's really important because you've recently shifted your business into some targeted ad campaigns, and the power of that even demonstrated on me, who, is aware of what's happening in the sales funnels. Bro, it's so powerful, like so much so that I'm like, okay, I don't know what I have to do to allocate a marketing budget towards this, but this is the future. Like to have polished professional ads, which you help with the content creation and the video and the marketing, but then to accompany it with the targeted ad campaigns, like that's Mike Tyson. That's 1-2 punch knockout.
Yeah, I mean, you've got to have all of it together though, right?
Yeah.
A lot of people want to get into the ad space. They see ads, they're like, this would transform my business. I need to have ads. I'm not saying that this is the way it is all the time. But if you have an ad and someone just comes across your ad, if you don't really target and tell them exactly what you do and what you're going to do for them, and if that doesn't perfectly fit what they're doing, they're going to want to do more research on you, right? And so the first thing they're going to do usually is go to your social media channels, because that's where you go to get information on people. They've got all this short form content. They've got a link to their website. They've got all these things. And so they're going to hop over to your Instagram. And if they go there and they just see some pictures of what you had for dinner last night and, some pictures of your family at the lake, they're going to go, wait, is this the same person that showed me the ad? So it creates this dissonance in their mind of what you said you could do for them and then what they're seeing who you are, right? And so it creates this dissonance. And so you need to make sure that you have the entire process set up so that when they see the ad, they go to your socials, it all backs everything up. It instills confidence. They begin to trust you. They're probably not going to go right over to your website and book a call. But then the next time they see the ad, they're going to say, oh, I remember this guy. I like this guy. I trust him. That's when they're going to book a call. And then you can have a conversation with them. The whole thing that I've based the video strategist on is I just want to help people. And so I've told many people, well, hop on a call. And if I can't help them, I don't want to take their money, right? I tell them, look, we're not a good fit. And I'll do my best to help them, give them some advice on what I think they could do to get where they're trying to go. But yeah, unless I fundamentally believe that I can help them get to where they're trying to go, then we can talk and then we'll kind of continue.
I'm a big believer in providing value to everyone, whether or not you're going to get anything back from it.
Yeah.
The law of reciprocity is real. And it's not that you're trying to get something out of giving value, but if you're a person who just is useful and valuable, the reciprocity from those relationships is going to compound 10x and your whole life just gets better. I want to talk about social media. I do a lot of social media marketing like we were talking about. And I am always banging the drum. You need to start telling people what you're doing, because the truth is if we're out here truly trying to help people, a lot of real estate agents, a lot of lenders and real estate investors specifically, yes, we want to provide for our families and make money. But a lot of us have a heart to serve. We want to help people. And the truth of the matter is, if you are not telling people what you are doing, then somebody worse at their job than you is going to take that business. And if you truly want to help people, then you're being selfish by not telling people about what you're doing, because the person who's not as good at their job is going to tell people about what they do, and they're going to take the business from you. And if you want to make an impact and help people, you need to start talking about what you're doing. And so the pushback I get right away is, well, what's my ROI on social media? How long do I have to do it? How many videos do I have to make? What's it going to cost me? And here's the truth. I literally have no idea, no clue, maybe nothing. I bet you though, $1 million, it's not going to be nothing if you stick with it with some consistency. And in my experience, people are always like, well, how many deals did you get from social media this month? And it's so weird to correlate an ROI with social media, because it's not linear like that. You can't measure it linear. It's like this holistic thing. For me, social media, it's not like I'm just getting cold leads out of social media. I have, and especially if you have targeted ads with greasy clickable funnels, you're going to expedite that and compound it faster. But for me, when somebody gives me a recommendation or refers me to somebody and they go to my social media page, instant authority. So all of the time that I used to sit and tell them about myself and what I represent and what I stand for, that's gone now. We're right into transaction mode. And I wouldn't even say transaction mode. We're right into, what is your problem? Let me solve your problem mode. Because the thing with sales is look, you can give a sales pitch and you can say, hey, you should work with me and go to a steak dinner. But people that are in need of a service don't care about steak dinners. They don't care about the golf course. You know what they care about? Their problem getting solved. And if you can solve their problem seamlessly and effectively, then that's what it comes down to, is how effectively you can solve their problem. They don't care about the fluff. And with having social media, it just builds such a solid foundation of authority that we're already into problem solve mode instead of wasting time dating, for example. We're right into solution mode. And so I can't give you a direct ROI on social media, but what I can tell you is it's making a huge impact in my business, in my life. How do you measure that? I have no idea, but I can tell you my business is 10x better what it would have been if I did no social media at all. And just like you were saying, the better you do this, the more polished you are, better your lighting is and your audio and your captions, the more respect you get in the industry space because it is getting more populated. And if you think about your social media posts as like a billboard, every time you drive down the road, you look out the window of your car and you see a billboard go by. Well, the more frequently you see a billboard, the more readily you're top of mind and you're associated with whatever that service is. And the better your billboards look, the more respect you get in the industry space. So that's why you can do it on your own for sure. But having an expert that like can tell you how to script appropriately with hooks and subhooks, how to set up your lighting and how to shoot the content and edit. Like, look, we need to be focusing on, and this is your point, what moves the needle the most in my business is not on YouTube learning how to work, Premiere Pro on how to edit or Final Cut or whatever. It's literally doing what I'm good at and offloading those tasks to experts that's what they're good at.
One thing that I'll mention just back on the social media thing really quick is social media was meant to be that social, right? It wasn't meant to be a lead generating platform. And so when you are connecting with people, the motivation to put content out should be to form relationships, not to get leads. If you are focused on that, and if you put content out, like you're saying, to give value, right? You're not trying to get anything in return. You're just trying to put value out there to better the world and to help other people. If you do that, then you will form relationships, which builds trust and likability. And that is what is just in turn, it's going to turn into more customers because people know you, they know that you can solve their problem, they like you, then they become a client. So if you're focused on getting leads, that's a cold approach to social media, and social media, it wasn't designed for that. If you want to get into the paid ad space, that's a totally different game, right? That's for getting in front of people, for selling a product, saying this is a problem you have and this is the solution I have for it. Let's talk, right? That's what that's for. Social media is meant for connecting with people. So give value, uplift, help, inspire. That's what social media is there for. So you can incorporate that into your strategy. It shouldn't all be selling, right? If you're pushing your product on people all the time, it's just going to turn people off.
Gary Vee says, jab, 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 right hook, right? Give. And then when you ask, you can ask, for bigger ticket items. If you're just constantly asking, it's really hard to recover from that because it comes across as greasy and salesy. And just like you said, social media is for being social. And you hit on it. Social media is for people to know you, like you, and trust you. It's to talk about your values and services you provide and your family and how you treat your wife and kids. And, people are more likely to want to transact and interact with you if you're somebody who they feel aligned with. And in that same manner, it filters people who are not in alignment with you. Some people may say like, oh, well, I want everybody to come do business with you. Well, actually, no, you don't. No, you actually don't. Because, people who are not in alignment with your vision and your values make your life way harder, way harder. If you are just your authentic self, authenticity is such like the key word in social media. If you're your authentic self, what it does is it aggregates and collects people who are in alignment with you, and it filters people who are not, and it makes your life better. In the beginning of the podcast, you talked about the talking head videos. Everybody's doing it right now. And it's really easy to like download the Captions app and have professional looking captions with teleprompters. And so how do you stand out today? Because it is super saturated.
The main thing that I would say is consistency. There's a lot of people producing content, but a lot of them fall off, right? They're really good at it for a month, 2 months, 3 months, and then they give up. And so there's really only, a limited number of people that are sticking with it. So that's the number one thing. If there was a silver bullet, like a golden rule, it would be just be consistent. The other things that I will say though, production value does matter. The visuals are important, but having good audio makes a huge difference. If you're listening to audio that's, scratchy, hard to hear, whatever, it's going to be a turnoff. So being able to focus on production value. Another thing is just the value that you're giving. If you're giving somebody information that they could find in a 5-second Google search, they're not going to see the value in that. But if you start to pull back the curtains and say, this is what I know, and I want to share with you what I know. This is how you can do this for yourself. they're going to be able to see through that, whether it's authentic or whether you're just trying to post a video for likes. And so if you can give them that value, then that will build trust and it will build over time. That's part of why consistency is so important, is because you're not going to blow up overnight, right? Maybe the 0.5%, right? Experience that, but you are not going to blow up overnight. You've got to just be sharing the content, not for the views, not for the likes. You've got to be sharing it because you want to help people. If that's where your kind of mindset is, that's where your heart's at, you just want to help, then you'll have the drive to be consistent, and that's what's going to lead to the momentum that you need. Again, there are exceptions to these rules, but another thing that's really important is figuring out who you are there to help. This is going to sound off topic, but it really does flow into the same thing. In college, I studied landscape architecture. We were in an irrigation class. We were learning how to lay irrigation. And it's that principle that the bigger the pipe, the less pressure there is. You start to shrink that pipe, there's more pressure, which means that things speed up. And so if you really want to grow, you've got to niche down. And that was something that took me a while to learn as I was building my business. It's like, I know how to film things. I know how to make things look really nice. Sure, I'll film a wedding. Yeah, you need a listing done. Let's do it. You want a music video? Awesome. I was trying to help everybody. And so as soon as I said, no, I help real estate agents, I know what their problems are, I know how to fix them, I'm really good at it, I understand them, then that pressure starts to build, if you will, the momentum starts to grow, and you're going to have exponentially faster growth by knowing who your target audience is.
That's something that I have experienced as well. I do a lot of things, but my 9 to 5, where I bring home the bacon, is in mortgage origination. And it's a tough time in the industry right now. It's just really tough. A lot of people who have been in the industry for years doing the same old business practices that they've always done, they're going out of business because interest rates are high and competition's super steep. There's less buyers. And my business is growing. And I think the reason that it's growing is because I have a really small niche, and that niche is investors. I can break down data and make pro formas for them and talk about building their wealth long term and how to move these chess pieces around with using real estate assets, because I started as an investor, not a loan originator. So for me, every time I see a new deal that a client brings me, my brain is looking at this deal through this creative investor mind, not how do we just get this loan closed with the best interest? I'm thinking of like, what's the strategy here? And have you thought about this? You should ask your agent about this. And that's where I started to see the velocity. And you're right. It's just like, that's a weird small niche. It's a small niche because most people aren't out there investing. But that doesn't mean that I don't get a lot of first-time buyers. I get a ton of first-time buyers. Just because you're in a niche doesn't mean that you don't transact outside of that niche. Consistency. I want to talk about consistency. What do you say to somebody like me? You consume my content. I'm very consistent. I never miss a week. I never miss a day. 4 to 5 times a week, every single week. I have professional edits, lighting. I've been doing this for 18 months consistently without missing it. And I'm still under 1,000 followers. And then I see guys who they've been on social media for 3 months and they're at 40,000 followers. So it's like, what the heck, And there's like a level of frustration. Now, I'm playing the long game. So regardless of followers, I'm going to keep doing this forever because I know that the value is in the compounding effect, right? So 10 years from now, what is my social media going to look like? However, it gets frustrating when you are consistent, you are doing the right things, and you're just not seeing growth. From an outside perspective, looking at my content, what do you see as something that I could improve?
From an outside perspective, looking at your content, I do see it pop up consistently. Yeah. I see it a lot. There's a few different things, and it's hard to pin down exactly what it is.
Yeah.
The first thing that I look at when you're producing content, you've been doing it consistently for a while, and you're not getting the growth you want, is going back to the drawing board and trying to get out of your head and into your consumers' heads and say, okay, is this content being enjoyed? Now, it's very possible that it is being enjoyed. There's 2 things really that are going to lead to quicker growth. And those 2 things are, number 1, is it shareable? There's a lot of great information, but what happens is they're sitting on the couch, they're scrolling, they watch your video, maybe they like it. The value of a like on social media has gone way down. So they like it, but then they just keep scrolling. So now that information was shared with them, interesting, but if they don't save it or share it, then that's going to limit the growth that your channel gets. So that's one, is it shareable? And then the other is collaboration. If you can find ways to create content in collaboration with other creators, what you're doing is twofold. One is you're building authority, right? As you connect with these other industry professionals, industry leaders, it shows that you are connected and you have a network, but it also doubles your audience because now you have their audience too. And so if you can collaborate more on posts through stories, you can do lives. And in addition to that, we talked about that silver bullet before. There's no one solution will fix it. So reels are awesome. You really need to be doing them if you want to grow and build a following that trusts you, but it shouldn't be the only content you're producing. Do lives with other people. You should be posting, still posts. There's what's called a blog video, which is basically where the content, the meat of your post is in the description, but there's something visually pleasing to watch at the top. The best way that we found to do a blog video is basically have a pretty video. It could be you sitting down to journal. It could be you going for a walk with your family, whatever it is. And then have some text on the video that points to the pain point or the thing that your viewer wants solved. And then just say, let's explain in the caption. And then they go down there and they read. That does a couple things too, where it keeps them on your post longer, which is going to tell the algorithm that your post is enjoyable, that people are liking it. And then that will get boosted more.
That's very interesting that you said that, because I always thought that the algorithm was about like the consumption of the actual video, but the captions. This week, I posted something outside the norm. I do a ton of reels, but a big passion of mine is I'm a writer. I like to write. And so I happened to be out in my field this week. I was struck with inspiration and I wrote a short little excerpt, right? Just how blessed I was with a still photo. And the writing was longer. And I thought, man, this is probably not going to go well on my social media. I don't care. It's organic. I want to post it. That was my most viewed and liked piece of content that I have made in 6 months.
So I saw that post today, and I'll tell you, don't take offense, but sometimes when your videos come up, I do scroll past because I'm looking for something specific or wanting to research other things. That post, when I saw it, I stopped and I read the whole thing. So it's variety, right?
Yeah.
And I think part of that comes back to the fact that you open up the app and it's all people yelling at your face,
right,
saying, here's the 3 things you need to do. Here's the one thing that's going to give you success, right? And so you've got all these voices yelling at you, and sometimes it just takes that still post, that quiet, to be this bit of reprieve, if you will. And it's like, oh, this is different.
It's just so interesting. When I started doing social media, I have no experience. I didn't even use social media 18 months ago. I went to this entrepreneur conference hosted by this figurehead, Cody Sanchez, and she kept harping on social media, how I got here, how I built this conference, how I build these private equity funds, all social media. She goes, if you take one thing out of this conference, go home and start doing social media branding. I had no idea what I was doing. I never even used social media. And so I went home and I was like, all right, how do you do it? I was like messaging people I saw, like, how are you doing this? Is there like a computer program? Like, are you screen recording? Like, what are you doing? So my growth to this point has pretty much just been like rip off and duplicate. I'll pause a video like, oh, what is that piece of equipment? I'll screenshot it and zoom in to see like what they're using, And when I see guys like you, I think, why didn't I meet you 18 months ago? You could have just taken me across the finish line right away. I spent hours, days, months figuring out how to produce content. I'm not saying it's a waste of time. I'm happy for the experience. It's making me who I am. But I'm telling you, I could have saved a heck of a lot of time if we would have crossed paths a lot earlier. If there's a message that I want to communicate to the audience, it's how much value it is to pay an expert to do something that they are an expert at. And that is a hard lesson that I've had to learn the hard way.
Yeah. I mean, that's what building a business is, though. Let's take you, for example, right? You're building a business, doing loans, you're doing some real estate stuff, you're building this business. If you do your own content, which you've done, you've learned it from the ground up, right? That's another business. So you're now building multiple businesses at once, which people have done. People have built multiple businesses, but it's got to be something you're willing to do. And it takes time. And so that's one of the benefits of bringing, someone like myself or someone who does something like we do in, is we've spent the thousands of dollars on gear. We've spent the tens of thousands of dollars on learning and coaching. We've spent hundreds of hours figuring out, how do I do this? How do I make it look like this? And so we've done all that so that you don't have to. You can, right? There's nothing secret about it. The information is out there, so you can learn how to do it. You just got to be willing to build a second business, because that's really what it is.
Let's drop some stats on why people need to not sleep on social media? Because I think this is really important.
Some of the stats that I was actually recently looking at. So in 2023, it's kind of an evolving prediction, but 82.5% of all of the traffic online is video. Think about the amount of traffic online.
That's a substantial amount.
That's huge.
I saw another stat from Keeping Current Matters. If you're a real estate industry expert, you'll know Keeping Current Matters. They just did a sample poll and they said, how are you selecting your real estate agent, your lender? Over 80% of them said from short form video content. So it's like, we cannot ignore this. And for the people who are like annoyed, like, this was for TikTokers and Gen Zers, what do you say to those people?
It is definitely not. Marketing shifts, right?
Yeah.
The way that we market. The way that we marketed even 10, 20 years ago, right? Not that long ago, completely different. And so this isn't just like a kid's thing, right?
Yeah.
And to be on TikTok, I mentioned TikTok to a lot of our, clients or potential clients, and they're like, I'm not going to dance, right? They think of TikTok as these like teens who are dancing on there. There's a lot of that on TikTok, but there's so much room for growth and for offering value on TikTok. And the biggest thing really is just be yourself. If you like to dance, dance.
I know we're running out of time here, and I don't want to not talk about this because this is probably the most valuable thing. This is why we started a relationship. It's these targeted ads. So talk about the compounding 1-2 punch of adding targeted ads, because this is how you got me.
Yeah. So it's huge. And it was a game changer for the business when we implemented it for ourselves. And this is one of the things that, we have been passionate about is we have been in the ad space for a while ourselves. We haven't started rolling that out till recently because we really wanted to make sure that we understood it and that it was working for us before we started pushing that out as an option for clients. But yeah, it's huge. Basically you're creating these relationships like I was talking about on social media. So you are getting in front of people, you're forming relationships, you're not trying to sell them on anything, you're just giving value. Then what happens is they see an ad. Something you have to understand is people are busy, right? Just like you were talking about with content creation, it takes up a lot of your time. So I could tell you, exactly how to film, how to edit, how to post, how to do everything that we do. It's still going to take you time, even if you know how to do it. With organic content, you're posting the content and just letting it go out into the world. Whoever sees it, sees it. With the ads, it's so targeted. As soon as you put money behind your content, that's where you can start to say, I want you to show it to these people. Yeah. So we have ads right now that are specifically running to people that have visited our Instagram page within the last 90 days.
How are you deciding who you're targeting?
So a lot of it is just using kind of deductive logic. We have clients, and so it's like, okay, let's look at these clients. What do they have in common, right? And you break down everything. Look at how old they are. Look at what kind of professions, they're in. Depending on what you're doing, like obviously we deal with real estate agents. Real estate agents, it's not just going to be one profession. You're going to help people in multiple professions. And so that depends on kind of the niche that you're in, but you just try to figure out these commonalities. We place our ads on Instagram, on Facebook, in different places, in Reels, in the feed, in all these places. And so we can even break down and say, where are people consuming most of this content? Is it on their phone? Is it a computer? Is it Instagram? Is it TikTok? So you can break all of that down and even get very specific down to location. Again, we just target Washington State right now. We do have clients out of state, but as far as our paid ads go, we want to help people locally so that we can do that full done for you service where we come, we film, we script, we edit, we do everything for you.
This is definitely in my future. I could just see the value. Ben, I just want to say it's been an absolute pleasure to, one, get to know you, get to know your heart and form a friendship. Business stuff aside, I'm just really, really blessed and in gratitude that you and I are forming this friendship. And I'm just excited to see where it goes. But on top of that, thank you for driving across the state and coming to this hot studio and recording a podcast with me. And for everybody listening tonight at Pints and Properties in Tacoma, and when you're hearing this, it'll be last week. So this is going to come out a week later. But come to our meetups, come to Pints and Properties because you want to be around the proximity of people who are doing these things who can help change your life and change your business. I would encourage you, if you're in the area, come out, come see us at Pints and Properties. It's the first Tuesday of the month. We're going to skip July. It's 4th of July, but we'll be back in August. Ben, where can people get in touch with you and learn more about you?
You can find us online at thevideostrategist.com or on Instagram at Ben Cryer Video Strategist. We'd love to connect with people, even if it's something where you're not ready, you don't have the huge marketing budget. I love pointing people in the right direction, right? So if you've got questions as far as, social media content, how to come up with ideas, how to start filming yourself, maybe you're super uncomfortable on camera, right? I know that's a problem for a lot of people. It was for me as well. I still don't love being on camera, but there's things that you can do to get over that. So if you have questions, reach out. I'd love to help.
Check out the show notes. It'll have all the information on how to get in touch with Ben. And while you're down there snooping around, do me a favor. Give us a like, subscribe, listen to the show, tell your friends about it, because we are kingdom focused here and we have a heart to give this information to as many people as possible. And we are trying to give you the tools and the knowledge and the power to build up a strong community and a strong life. So please share this information, share it with as many people as possible, give us a review. That would mean the world. To all you out there in the Dynamis world, we will catch you next week. See you on the flip side.